very brief because we're running a little bit behind. Just incredibly honored to be in Union City, signing two extraordinary pieces of legislation that are going to help folks who rent up and down this state by the many thousands, small landlords by the many thousands. It's a game changer, and we've seen some challenges in Washington to get this eviction moratorium extended. I applaud President Biden and his administration for extending that, attempting to extend this another 60 days. But I'm incredibly proud working with our legislative colleagues. I'm especially proud to be hosted by Mayor Brian P. Stack, and who was also one of the leaders of this piece of legislation. This is a game changer, and I'm incredibly honored to be here. I'll take a couple of very quick ones. Yes. Another person I don't recognize that I'm asking.
So New Jersey so far with the counties and states have been passing out about 22 assistance, and that's not really the start.
Yeah.
Is there anything that they can do to make sure?
We're doing everything we can. It's complicated. That's not an excuse. It is complicated. Our folks are working morning, noon, and night. You're going to see that number start to ramp up, I hope, significantly soon.
Governor, given what's going on in New York City in terms of COVID and new restrictions, has that given our proximity to them, given how dense
Yep.
you say, has that spurred you to give more thought to having those same?
It hasn't spurred us in as much as a lot of other options are on the table for us, and things in the general neighborhood of what New York City is doing are on that list. As you probably saw, we made the decision to get at what we think are the most vulnerable communities first: hospital settings, long-term care. Two great examples. Get that up and running with either a vaccine requirement or a very frequent testing requirement. But we're looking, I say this a lot, you're sick of hearing me say it, all options are on the table.
Governor, could you please talk about the Cuomo?
Listen, my statement, I think, stands that I made with the other governors. I'm appalled by the treatment that these women had to put up with. They deserve to be heard, and thank God they were heard. And the governor has to resign. I'll leave it at that. I'm not close enough to the details, but he's got to go. Please. David.
How are you, sir? They let me out of the house.
Nice to see you. I'm sorry, your question was? Listen, Diane is somebody I know. I signed a bill in her name, equal pay for equal work, and she's been, she was an outstanding journalist way back when I was in graduate school down in Philadelphia, and she served with distinction as a senator. But let's not remember who's at the top. Let's not forget who's at the top of the ticket, and focus on him and his record. And this is as stark a contrast as this state's ever seen. This is between going forward or slipping back to the bad old days. It's the difference between making decisions, that even hard ones, based on the facts, as opposed to putting your finger in the air and checking which way the wind is blowing. Please, one more.
Governor, according to the Federal Trade Commissions, there are more than 500,000 potential fraud cases under investigation for federal COVID aid. How can you assure New Jersey taxpayers that this money will go to who it's meant to go to, and there are fraud protections?
Yeah, early on in this pandemic, we set up an office in our front office whose sole mission is to track every penny and make sure it did what it was supposed to do and it got to the place that it was intended to get to. So we've got a whole operation headed by a guy who's a veteran of many administrations, Dan Kelly, formerly in the Attorney General's office. He more recently has been doing emergency post Superstorm Sandy and other similar oversight, and I have complete faith in Dan's leadership, and we take that very seriously. Thank you all.